Hey folks, Doug Turnbull here. I guess it's telling when the last time that I did these vlogs, as some people like to call them, is during Richmond's Spingate back in 2013, and also when the Braves decided to move away from Turner Field around that same season of time. Well, I wanted to give a quick take on NASCAR's decision they released here on Tuesday morning, saying that they were not going to issue any further penalties pending the completion of inspection at NASCAR's R&D Center to the actual race cars of the luminaries involved in Sunday's race at Talladega Superspeedway. The 22 car, of course, the winner, Joey Logano, the 88 Dale Jr., the runner-up, and they investigate some of the other cars in the top 5, and also the 18 machine of Kyle Busch that finished just inside the top 8 in the points, and Ryan Newman, they also tear apart that car just in case Busch's is found to be illegal and they have to issue a points penalty. Then Newman would make the chase, but of course they want to make his legal too. So that's, or determine if it's legal or not. So they're still investigating those cars, but NASCAR in a statement said that pending the completion of those inspections, there will be no further penalties. That means that they've scoured over evidence, at least they say. They've looked over everything, and they've determined that Kevin Harvick is not in the wrong, or at least that he didn't intentionally, or at least there wasn't enough evidence to prove that he intentionally caused a wreck at Talladega Superspeedway to end that race. Now, we've already dissected and gone over all the reasons why or why not, or what NASCAR could and couldn't do, but one thing I was clear about yesterday when I first posted about this was that NASCAR shouldn't make a drastic move unless they had undoubtable evidence that Harvick made a move or not. Now, people could go all sorts of directions on that, but the point is the decision has been made. I think NASCAR was in a situation where they're cursed if they do, cursed if they don't, because if they rule against Harvick and take him out, it creates more unrest, and if they choose not to act, of course, people are going to be upset that he got away with something that maybe Martin Truex Jr.'s team and Michael Waltrip Racing as a whole suffered from when they obviously manipulated the output of that race at Richmond in 2013. How do I feel about all this? It's really tough to say, but it seems like now there's really some, to me, incontrovertible wrongs. Now, I got a little Twitter back and forth, and it was nice enough, but back and forth nonetheless with Jim Utter from motorsport.com, who follows the sport every single week, is at the track, is more entrenched in it than I am, and I heard he and Doug Rice on Performance Racing Network, along with Jeff Hammond, the former crew chief, talking on PRN's Fast Talk Monday night. And one thing that Utter said he thought was utterly ridiculous, get it, is that NASCAR shouldn't have done that second green-white checkered restart. And in listening to that, I kind of thought, okay, yeah, I see that because they hadn't done that before. And then going back and watching some video on NBC where driver Kyle Petty, who has, I think, 8 career wins, Jeff Burton, over 20 career wins, and then I've seen Brian Vickers back in NBC studio saying the same thing, he with a couple of career wins, about 30 wins amongst 3 different drivers, all of them saying that they didn't think, or they didn't know of the rule that if the race didn't come to the start-finish line, if the leader was starting the race, that it didn't count, which they had never heard before. They didn't know about it. Then certainly the drivers in the field at Talladega didn't know about it either. And it seemed to the fairly prominent and well-in-the-know media members, to fairly prominent, well-in-the-know drivers, to pretty much everybody involved, that even if they like NASCAR's decision to do that additional green-white checker restart, saying the first one didn't count because they didn't get to the start-finish line, that even though the fans liked it, it seemed like it was very inconsistent. So in the future, one thing we need to say about NASCAR is they need to be more consistent. Again, they made a judgment call on a procedural thing, not something that you could rule with a judgment like a caution, but an actual procedural thing kind of got pulled out of the blue there. If Dale Earnhardt Jr. won that race, conspiracy theorists would have said the NASCAR had it out against Logano to make Jr. win by doing everything they could to try to give him all the opportunities to come back and win. As it turned out, though, we really won't know how that will ever turn out because Joey Logano went to victory lane regardless. So the one thing we could say for sure NASCAR is they needed not to have made that extra restart. It really seems that way now looking back at it. Secondly, we can decide whether or not it was a good idea to limit the amount of green-white checkered finishes to 1. I've seen some very compelling evidence that say, why would you even, or some opinions, arguments I should say, why would you even change it in the middle of the season or right before the race? That just doesn't seem to make sense. Keep it consistent. So we can say that. We can also say that NASCAR still, in my opinion, should have black flag Kevin Harvick. I said that yesterday. I still maintain that. When I was talking back and forth with Jim Utter just a little bit there on Twitter, he said that drivers have 3 laps to choose whether or not to serve a black flag before NASCAR throws the black flag with a white cross and stops scoring that driver. NASCAR, in my opinion, should have black flagged Kevin Harvick before that second-to-last restart as soon as they had reports of oil coming out of his car. At the very least, they should have done it after that first green light check and finish, which still would have given more than 3 laps when you add in the caution laps there, at least for my counting, because the race ended with, I think, 193 laps. So you add all that in together, you can say what you want. It seems to be that Harvick shouldn't have been on the track. Now, one thing some people are saying is, why didn't Harvick go into pit road? Why did he choose to stay out on the track? Well, because they're trying to win. That's why. They're not going to go in unless NASCAR tells them to. And in the case of Denny Hamlin, they had to pit during the green with that messed up roof hatch there because they thought their situation was going to get worse and put them even further behind if they'd waited to fix it. Of course, Denny Hamlin saying afterwards, we just should have left it open there and not pitted. And go back and forth in that if you wish, but the point is, Harvick stays in the chase. Kenseth, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Ryan Newman, they're still out. The world will go on, and if I'm at Martinsville Speedway, I don't want to be Joey Logano. Kenseth's still mad at him, and I don't know if I want to be Kevin Harvick. I think if the 20, the 11, the 31, the 6 all run up on that number 4 machine, Harvick could go topsy-turvy at Martinsville. Remember last year, Kenseth actually accidentally spun Harvick there, and Harvick was quite upset about that. Maybe this time Kenseth will have more reason to and do it again. Not likewise, Sunday's race, I think, is going to be very interesting to watch. And wouldn't it be interesting to see if Jeff Gordon, who dominated that race back in the spring until a doomed final pit stop for speeding, a penalty there, took him out of contention. Wouldn't it be interesting to see him go to victory lane and punch his ticket to go to Homestead? We'll be following all that right here, and eventually we'll have it back on the WSB Radio Race blog once WSB fixes its internet. It's a little bit messed up. But I'm Doug Turnbull. Thanks for checking in, and thanks for all your encouragement and for watching, and we'll see how it all folds out here as we have 6 races down and 4 to go in NASCAR's Sprint Cup chase for the Cup.